welcome to the Planet's local Outbreak on 100.1 The Planet, New Hampshire's modern rock, presented by IPMNation.com and RageRockRadio.com. Matt Connerton back with you this week in the RageRockRadio.com studio. Hammer's working the board. Everything's sounding good this week. And I'm sitting here with Jim Tyrrell. Is that how you say your name?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was Tyrrell or Tyrell or...
Tyrrell, I hear a lot.
Tyrrell.
But yeah, extra points for getting it right on the first try. Nobody does that.
Well, a little bird told me what the correct pronunciation was.
All right.
So I hear you do a lot of drinking songs. Is that correct?
It's true, yeah. It was sort of a diversion, kind of a side project for me, but obviously having just passed St. Patrick's Day, it sort of took precedent for a while.
Right,
but,
right. Busy time of year for you?
It is. It was, St. Patrick's is about 2 weeks long for me, and I don't get to drink a drop because I'm just out playing shows.
Right, right. Nothing wrong with that. You're out making money. And
and it's fun. It's fun stuff to write. It's fun stuff to play.
Cool. Well, we'll come back in a minute and we'll talk, but why don't we play a song? What do you want to play?
Oh, fantastic. One of the drinking songs would be a great idea.
Perfect.
Let's see. How about a song about one of my favorite beers? There's 7 Barrel Brewery over in West Lebanon. I don't know if you've ever been there, but they make this stout, and it's the RIP stout, and it was very, very influential in my efforts. So I wrote a song about it.
All right. Is that the name, RIP Stout?
The name of the song is actually called the 7 Barrel Stout.
Okay.
Not to give everything away. Or anything.
Right. All right, cool. So this is the 7 Barrel Stout from Jim Tyrrell on the Planet's local Outbreak.
Every night when Danny White lay fast asleep in bed, his Lily stayed not by his side, she hit the town instead. Soon his friends would tell him they'd been seeing her around, and one night before they went to bed, he sat his Lily down. He said, I have but one desire, of that you can't be sure, so make for me this promise and I'll know your heart is pure. If you play the midnight prowler and you're set on sneaking out, well, just come back with a growler of that 7-barrel stout. Wrapped up with the glasses, boys, and let me hear you shout. You'll never find a better beer than the 7-barrel stout. Sherman was a lad you might have heard me sing about. The young man's drinking prowess was renowned beyond a doubt. Well, no one's ever seen him passing out or getting ill, but I recall a night when he had finally got his fill. The 7-barrel stout was so divine it made him cry. At one after another, and he ran that barrel dry. There were other beers to offer, but he quickly ruled them out, saying nothing here could live up to that 7-barrel stout. Wrapped up with the glasses, boys, and let me hear you shout. You'll never find a better beer than the 7-barrel stout. The 7 barrels always got a party going on. There's not another place to be when the baseball game is on. Well, I love to watch the Red Sox and I cheer them on with pride, but when they play the Brewers, we'll have a hard time picking sides. 'Cause there's a team whose mascot I've no choice but to support, but just like when they take the field, their efforts come up short. Well, I do respect that noble cause Milwaukee's all about, but that lighter fare just can't compare with a 7-barrel stout. Wrapped up with the glasses, boys, and let me hear you shout. You'll never find a better beer than the 7-barrel stout. Wrapped up with the glasses, boys, and let me hear you shout. You'll never find a better beer than the 7-barrel stout.
Local Outbreak on 101, The Planet, New Hampshire's modern rock. Matt Connerton back in the RageRockRadio.com studio, sitting here with Jim Tyrrell.
Hey there.
Hey. So do you want to tell us the story behind that song we heard a minute ago? Is that you mentioned off air? You mentioned a story behind it.
Well, yeah, it actually is mostly fabricated. I won't lie to you, but it was definitely inspired by an actual beer. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of put on the spot to write drinking songs by a local place in Plymouth. They hired me to play a St. Patrick's Day show, and I knew a couple of Irish songs, and I told them I would mix those into my regular set. And they said, yeah, that'll be fine. And then I looked in the paper the next week, and they had advertised the upcoming show as 4 hours of Celtic music starring Jim Tyrrell. And, I panicked for a minute, and then I got online and just tried to download as many, lyrics as I could to try to learn some. But I also thought I would try writing a few songs and passing them off as old traditionals.
Yeah.
And that was one of the songs I ended up writing, and it turned out to be a really fun project.
How many songs have you written that are, let me put it this way. How many drinking songs have you written?
Like 15 or 16, something like that. Not enough to survive on a full night of original drinking music. But
not all your songs are about drinking, I assume.
Well, yeah, not all of them,
Not
I
quite
guess.
all of them?
There's a couple, I suppose.
Sure.
No, I do write other stuff as well, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when you play out, is your set a combination then, I assume, of originals and covers? Or?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, a lot of the places in the state, I work mostly in New Hampshire. People are interested in hearing stuff that they know. So when I play out, I hand out a song list of about 300 recognizable cover tunes, and that's really the basis of my live show. But I sneak in originals as well where I can, and I add those to the list, and people are often very curious about it. But some venues really focus on it. Like there's a place in Meredith, Lago, that you can only do original stuff. So I love playing.
Oh,
there.
really? Yeah.
Yeah, they really support New Hampshire original artists. It's a nice place to be.
For covers, who do you cover?
Well, I really run the gamut. If you want to go out and do this for work, you got to know a little of everything. So, I'm playing James Taylor 1 minute and Metallica the next. Sometimes at the same venue in the same show, it'll come up. It depends on the crowd, of course. But, when someone asks for something, you want to be able to do that or something similar enough to it. So I try to be as prepared as I can. And I like all kinds of music, so it's an easy enough thing.
Yeah, that works. Is it just you playing out solo when you do this? Or?
Usually. I do have a couple of bands that I work with as well.
Oh, okay.
And have recently started working with a trio, a bass player and drummer, that are specifically there to do the original stuff. We do drinking song shows of the original music and stuff like that. So that's pretty fun. But, yeah, for the most part, I'm a solo artist. There's a lot of clubs that I play that really don't have room for full bands.
Oh, okay.
So it's, it's just another way to be flexible, take up opportunities.
Sure. Are you playing out a lot?
I am, as much as I can anyway.
Every weekend or?
Yeah,
Yeah,
easily
good.
every week. I've got something on the books. In the summer, it's not unusual to be playing 5 nights a week.
Really?
But
wow.
You're often doing 5 different things. If you're going to do that, then you're playing with one band one night and you're doing a solo show, and then you're over here doing another thing. And, it just depends how many different things you want to do.
Is that challenging when in the course of 1 week you have different types of shows that you're doing?
It depends on the show.
Yeah.
There was a band that I used to work with, and I unfortunately don't work with as much anymore, who are the Brain Police, named after the Zappa tune. And we did a lot of Metallica and Primus and Soundgarden. And if I had to go and do another show the following day after one of their shows, it was usually tough because I did a lot of the singing. And, it's pretty taxing.
Yeah.
So yeah, in that sense, sometimes it's tough to shift gears, but really it keeps the job interesting. It's actually a benefit.
As far as originals go, do you enjoy that more? Is that more satisfying to you to do the originals?
It's definitely more personally satisfying.
Yeah.
I'm obviously very invested in the material, and it's nice to see that resonate with a crowd. And if I had my way, that's what I would do all the
Really?
time.
Yeah.
It's nice to be able to write those songs and present them to the crowd, but to be able to build it on the back of something that's a little more lucrative.
Sure.
I can pay my bills going out and playing Margaritaville and take it easy. And then if I
Right.
get to sneak in one of my own here and there, and that's all right.
Right. The kind of shows you do, you must get people singing along quite a bit, especially
Oh yeah,
around St. Patrick's Day when people are drinking.
Yeah, the St. Patrick's Day stuff. Certainly, people are likely to raise the pint and
Right.
sing along, and that's definitely always fun. There are a few songs that people will really, request with the sing along idea in mind. If you're doing Piano Man or something like that, people are going to
Yeah.
jump in on it.
With the kind of shows that you do, is it always a situation where you're doing the full night, Or do you ever do shorter shows where maybe you're opening for someone or someone's opening for you?
It's rare for me to participate in a double bill or anything like that because it's usually just not lucrative.
Okay, yeah.
You know, and I've got the body of material to be able to hold down a full night. So usually I'm just going and doing the whole thing.
Sure.
I did get a chance to play here in Manchester a couple of years ago with a couple other bands over at Millie's, and it was a lot of fun. You know, we had a great old time, but it's definitely more in my interest to just go and do a full night.
Do you have other bands that you work with now, or is it strictly just a solo thing at this point?
There is a classic rock band called No Limits that plays in the Lakes region.
Oh, okay.
And that's all classic rock stuff. Although
All
they
covers?
Yeah. Well, all covers except for one. I've got them doing one of my original songs.
Oh, no kidding.
It's a blues tune, and we didn't have a whole lot of blues in the repertoire, so I was like, you know, why don't we try this one? It ends up actually really being received pretty well by the crowd.
Yeah.
Because there's kind of a story behind it, so, you know, we kind of, you know, tell the crowd about it and do it.
Very good. Well, I want to come back in a minute and talk more about kind of your history, you know, some of the different bands that you've played with and
sure.
what you've been doing. But why don't we play another track? What do you want to play?
Actually, that blues tune is an excellent candidate. It's called I Know My Rights, and it was written for an online songwriting competition called Song Fight.
Oh, okay.
At songfight.org, they post a song title and give you about a week to write a song, record it, and send it to them. And then they post all the songs they get, and people can just go there and listen and vote on what they like the best. And I didn't win the fight, but I came out of it with a song that I end up playing at shows. So,
well, that's a victory in itself, so cool.
Yeah, I'm counting it as a win.
All right. So this is I Know My Rights from Jim Tyrrell Jim Tyrrell. See, I'm screwing up here.
Oh, yeah.
No. On Local Outbreak on 100.1 The Planet, New Hampshire's modern rock.
Well, the last thing I remember, I was sitting with the boys. We were making plans to go downtown and make some noise. As near as I can figure, must have gone to hell. So woke up in the morning in this dark and dirty cell, and now I'm waiting for my lawyer. 'Cause this can't be where I belong. Yeah, well, I know my rights, but I don't remember what I did wrong. I'm going through my pockets, I'm looking for a clue, some kind of explanation for the things that I've been through. Well, all I found's a quarter, and there's no one I can call. It's the only thing they'll give me, and it doesn't help at all. 'Cause if I know those no good friends of mine, they didn't stick around for long. I said I know my rights, but I can't remember what I did wrong. Oh, look out. Since Monday, that was 7 days ago. I'm still waiting for my attorney. Is he ever gonna show? Well, what if I get stuck here for the rest of my life? Another couple months, well, I might have to call my wife. Yeah, well, maybe I'll just stay here. 'Cause Lord knows a man ain't that strong. I said I know my rights, but I don't remember what I did wrong. I said I know my rights, but I can't remember what I did wrong. Well, I know my rights, but I'll be damned if I can remember a goddamn thing about what I did wrong.
Local Outbreak on 100.1 The Planet, New Hampshire's modern rock. Sitting here with Jim Tyrrell.
Hey there.
All right, I got it right. So tell me about your process with writing these songs.
Well, they always come from a different place. I mean, sometimes you'll just get a musical phrase that you can build on, or sometimes you get a lyrical idea. A lot of it comes from the aforementioned Song Fight, the online songwriting competition that I participate in, and there they feed you a song title.
Oh.
And anybody can go and do it, you know.
Sure.
And a lot of it is just kind of, you know, kids or young guys sitting at home with their own little recording setups, you know. There are some bands that actually get their things together and manage to get a song written and recorded in a week, but a lot of it is solo artists.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see how many different takes on a title you'll hear over the course of a week. It's really incredible some of the stuff people come up with.
Have you done a lot of those songwriting contests?
I've participated on and off since about 2004. And I've done maybe 35, 36
wow.
official song fight entries over that time.
So you've done a lot of those. Wow.
And I won twice.
Oh, okay.
In that time. Yeah, it's tough to eke out a win. You know, you've really got to do something unique
Right.
to get it done. And it also helps to have a lot of friends on the internet.
You won out of how many people, do you know?
Well, yeah, the fight attendance is always different. The first one
Sure.
that I won, actually, only 8 people entered.
Yeah.
But I'm still pretty proud. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good.
That was a peculiar song, and sometimes the titles are a little bit esoteric. In that case, the song title was Naked on the Meach. Meach, M-E-A-C-H, and I still don't know what that word means.
Yeah, I don't either.
I won the fight, but I don't know. I
Really?
wrote a song about a man with a speech impediment
Yeah.
and just decided to take the easy route, and it was enough to get the win.
Yeah. Is that an annual contest?
It's a weekly contest.
Oh,
if you
okay.
can believe
Oh, wow.
it.
No kidding.
Since 2000, they've posted a song title roughly every 7 to 10 days.
Wow.
And people are just sending in their stuff. And, you know, there's a lot of chaff to sort through to get to the wheat, but there's also, well, we're coming on 10 years of music archive at songfight.org to go through, and there's some pretty amazing stuff.
Right.
Very inspiring.
Yeah. Now, have you always done the solo acoustic thing to some degree, or
Yeah, since I started, I've always been that's been the focus, you know, really the main part of what I do. And I started strictly as a piano player.
Oh, really?
That was my first instrument, and I'm self-taught. I had one summer of lessons, which I promptly gave up for like roller skating instead. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know, I was 12.
Sure.
But yeah, I taught myself the guitar because I would get a lot of requests for, you know, Creedence Clearwater Revival, which is kind of tough to pull off on the piano.
Right.
Although, you know, in recent years, I've actually started doing a little dueling piano work with another guy.
Really?
And there you've got to do everything on the piano, pretty much anything anyone can think of. So I'm playing Living on a Prayer or Hit Me With Your Best Shot on the piano. And it's ridiculous, but it's, you know, it works and people dig it.
So you started playing when you were 12?
I guess it was probably around 7 that I really started to tinker with it. But at that age, we didn't have a piano at the house, so it was all just at school.
Sure.
But yeah, you know, just through elementary and high school programs, just kind of learned about music and just stayed interested in it. It pretty early on, I was pretty convinced that it was what I wanted to do.
Do you remember how old you were when you wrote your first song?
That's a good question. It would have been sometime in high school that I wrote anything that would actually be, you know, formalized enough to call a song.
Sure.
And none of that stuff really exists now. It's all pretty much written off as experimentation and gone by the wayside.
Right. I know that when I look back at things I wrote when I was a kid, it's like, oh, wow, I can't believe I wrote that. That's so bad.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I still do that.
Sure. Yeah.
You really, I think, to be successful, you've got to still work through a lot of that. It just helps to be productive and to not really worry about what comes out. There's a project that some internet people are known to do called the Album a Day Project.
Yeah, I've heard of this, yeah.
Yeah, you close the door to your studio, and 24 hours later, you've got to come out with at least a 20-minute album of songs. Huh. And at that pace, you can't reject anything.
Sure.
You've really got to just go with whatever comes to mind. And every time I've participated in it, the results have been surprisingly good.
Really? Yeah.
I mean, there's stuff that is just, you know, it's completely egregious, and you would just be like, oh, I hope nobody ever hears that. But you also often surprise yourself, you know, when you kind of just, you have nothing getting in the way of your voice. It's pretty amazing what comes out.
How many of those have you done?
Officially 2.
Yeah.
And they were both in 2004. I'm way overdue to try it again.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of feeling the itch now.
It does sound like a really interesting challenge.
It's fun. It's just right now it's more tough for me to get any kind of a 24-hour period of time to actually do it. I'm pretty busy because I do still work a day job.
Sure.
I'm as busy as I can as a musician, but it's a tough go here in New Hampshire.
Absolutely.
So yeah, one of these days when I get 24 hours to myself, I'm going to give it another try.
Yeah. When you record in the studio, is it just you? Do you play everything yourself?
Yeah, on the albums that I've released, self-publishing, I've so far recorded all the instruments.
Okay.
I'm not a particularly adept drummer. I'm kind of learning the other instruments as I go along. I have some experience playing bass in bands, and my keyboard background is pretty good. But the drums, I've really needed to bring myself up to speed. And I'd love to get somebody else in there who actually knew what they were doing.
What about as far as writing? Is everything that you've recorded, is it just you?
Yes, for the most part. I've had the distinct pleasure of working with a lyricist recently, girl Stacy Lucas, who didn't actually have a whole lot of songwriting experience, but has done some poetry work.
Okay.
And has always said, I'd like to write songs and see if someone can set them to music, and I love the idea.
Yeah.
So, she mailed me something, and that day I was able to come up with some music that I liked for it. It really surprised me how quickly that came together. So, yeah, I'm really interested in doing more of that in the future.
Now, how many albums have you recorded so far?
I released Permanent Record in 2007. That's the album that had I Know My Rights on it.
Okay.
After that, I did a short album of drinking songs for the gig that I had at the Lucky Dog there in 2007. But,
yeah.
That sort of got rolled into a 2008 effort of drinking songs. So now there's an album, Time for Another Round, that has all of my drinking stuff on it. And just New Year's Eve, in fact, I rapped on an album, Onward to Yesterday, which is it's my current release.
Okay. So that's not including, of course, the two that you did when you participated in that contest.
Oh, right, the Album a Days. Yeah, I posted those for free online for a while, and I think if you go to the Album a Day website, you can probably find them somewhere in their archives.
Really?
But yeah, that stuff is just sort of...
Did any of that material end up on your official releases?
Let's see. Yeah, sort of. There's a hidden track on Permanent Record called Ass Hat.
Yeah.
You remember what I was saying about not being able to reject an idea?
Right.
Yeah. All of a sudden I found myself rapping over a 3-part a cappella track and a drum beat, and it just kind of amused me, and I was like, well, I need 2 more minutes for this album. Let's see what we do.
Right.
And the song haunts me. People will still request it at shows. Anybody who's familiar with my original stuff, will be like, oh, play Ass Hat. And I'm like, well, okay, but there's 60-year-old ladies dining right here next to me. And they'd probably rather hear James Taylor.
Sure.
But yeah, it's just funny what people connect with. But I did get a kick out of it, and I had to put it on the album.
Does that happen a lot where you're playing shows and people are requesting some of your originals?
It's starting to, a little more and more. Certainly people are intrigued when they see it on the song list. And, sometimes they don't really know what they're getting into, but they're just like, yeah, play something that you wrote.
Yeah.
More often, people will say to me, play something that you really like. They're just because they don't want to pick a song, or they've got the musical equivalent of refrigerator blindness.
Sure.
They've got a big list and they just can't decide.
Sure.
And usually when I'm given the opportunity, I'll be like, well, here's one that I wrote, and, just kind of try to get into it like that.
Yeah, cool. Well, why don't we play another tune? What would you like to play?
Fantastic. This one's a song from... Oh, thanks.
There we go. We have a request. It's just like we're at the bar and we're live, or you're live.
You asked for it. Here it comes.
All right. This is Ass Hat from Jim Tyrrell on Local Outbreak on 100.1 The Planet.
Augustus Oleander sits by himself, considers other people bad for his health. His arrogance comes from a lifetime of wealth. Like all his valuables, he stays on the shelf. He's an asshat. Man got an ass for a hat. I went to high school with a kid named Pierre. 2 years of French and now he thinks he's Voltaire. To hear him talk you'd think he's so debonair, but he behaves like a chapeau derriere. He's an asshat. This guy in front of me on Route 93, some friggin' college kid as slow as can be. So many stickers I'm surprised he can see. Another moron with a master's degree's an asshat. Got an ass for a hat.
Local Outbreak on 100.1 The Planet. Matt back with you in the RageRockRadio.com studio, sitting here with Jim Tyrrell. I kind of hesitated on your name that time.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, you're trying.
I am. I do my best.
And I've thought, maybe I should change it, but I'll worry about that when I actually get famous or something.
People do all kinds of variations on my name because it's Connerton, but
right.
my nickname in high school was Canarton, so...
They used to call you Canarton?
Canarton, yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I know how it is.
Yeah.
But tell me about your approach to social networking, because...
Oh, yeah.
A lot of musicians are using it now, which is smart, really utilizing, of course, MySpace. Everyone's been using that for a while, but now Facebook and whatnot. But you really kind of take it to a new level.
Well, I do as much as I can with it because it's free.
Right.
Or most of it is anyway. And it just seems to make so much sense to just be able to, connect with an audience that's that big.
Yeah.
And I think the lesson that it's taught me is that you don't really need to connect with everybody. You just need to find the people that are excited about what you're doing, and it's a great opportunity to do that.
Right.
It definitely, Facebook, which I use primarily, it's a great way to reach, a global audience, but its great value for me is actually reaching the local audience and just letting the people who can come out to a show know where I'm going to be, and just kind of to stay in touch with them in that way. It's a fantastic tool for me.
I've always thought, and it sounds like maybe you think the same way, that the best way to expand your fan base is not necessarily to worry so much about, like you said, not reaching everybody, but, starting with your home base and sort of expanding outward like concentric circles.
Sure, very much. And, yeah, it's more about just kind of focusing on what you do. Being a guy who plays cover songs in bars, I know what it is to try to please everybody in the room.
Right.
And really, when it comes down to it, you just got to find the people that are excited about it and just key in on them, because people will feed off of that interest too.
Sure.
It means a lot to people to see someone who's excited about your work. It says more than even you could probably say about it. So
are you on all the sites, like obviously MySpace and Facebook? Are you also on Twitter? And
yeah, I do have a Twitter account. And I actually updated it on the way down here.
Did you? Yeah.
On my little phone. I'm just like, going to be on the radio. And I have a MySpace account, but that one has kind of gone dormant a little bit. It's a little bit redundant to what Facebook does.
Well, let me ask you this, because we get some it inevitably comes up on this show quite a bit, and we get some very different opinions about this. Do you feel that MySpace is still valid, or do you feel that it's kind of slowly dying?
I don't know. To tell you the truth, that's really not my place to answer.
Yeah.
But I will say that my traffic really has moved to Facebook personally.
Yeah.
As to whether it's indicative of a larger tendency, I really couldn't say.
Sure. Because I've talked to people who will tell me that, nobody's using MySpace anymore. Everyone's on Facebook and these other sites. And I've talked to other people in this room who've said, actually, no, MySpace is still, very viable. We get most of our traffic through MySpace. So,
yeah, I think the difference there is more, it's symptomatic of where people's core audience is.
Sure.
It's
That makes
just
sense.
simply that. I don't
Yeah.
have to be where everybody is. I have to be where the important people are.
Right.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
or important to me anyway.
Right. Well said. Are you also on like Pure Volume and Reverb Nation and all those, or are you focused more on Facebook and Twitter?
I use Reverb Nation a lot because it's got great tools for musicians
It
as
does,
far as
yeah.
organization, but all of that stuff really gets ported out to Facebook,
Sure.
as applications, and also to my own website, jimtyrrell.net, which really should, in theory, be the hub of what I'm doing online, but it really, right now, Facebook is the engine.
What do we find on your site? If we go to your site, what's there?
There you can actually see the CDs that I have for sale. That's the biggest difference,
Sure.
is that you can actually look at the product. But to tell the truth, I've got a blog that I update, and that's an external site. I've got the
Yeah.
Facebook, and it really more acts as a hub to the other activity.
So
that
it kind
I
of
have going
ties it
on.
all together. So all
Yeah.
things Jim Tyrrell, you can go to that one place. And,
Exactly.
Okay.
Right now, the front page of jimtyrrell.net is dedicated to a streaming application where I can play my shows live on the internet. Which
Well,
is,
I wanted to ask you about that. In fact, that's what I meant by that, taking it to a new level as far as what you're doing online. So you actually stream your shows.
yeah, I have started bringing my laptop out to shows and setting up the webcam so that I can play to people, like some of my friends on Facebook who are down in North Carolina or
Yeah.
wherever that can, tune in and watch the show, and it's been a great thing. I was a little nervous at first that it would keep the locals out of the bars. If they could just watch from home,
Right.
then they wouldn't actually come out and spend the money that's going to actually pay my wage.
Right.
But it really hasn't turned out like that. It's been a good thing.
Yeah, because it's not the same experience. If you can get there, you might as well go and get the full experience of seeing you live and having some drinks.
Very much so, and I think
Yeah.
that that's the attitude of the crowd. And it's been good for the venues too, because people at the bar will text their friends and say, "Listen, I'm at the Black Cat or wherever, and I'm watching a band, and you can watch the same thing right now."
Right.
And then generally they walk over to the webcam and make a fool of themselves in front of it
Yeah.
for 5 or 10 seconds. And
That's really cool.
yeah, it's a neat thing to do, and it's a real gratifying thing to be able to do too, because it reconnects me with a lot of old friends who are out of town and things like that, who can then come and check out my show and see that all the time I spent hiding in the music room in high school wasn't completely wasted.
Did you have any kinks to work out with that when you first started doing that?
I'm still working them out.
Really?
It's something I've really only been doing for about a month.
Yeah.
So it's kind of new to me, and yeah, there's a little bit of futzing around that has to be done.
Sure.
But again, I can always call on my core group of people who are tuning in and listening, and I get good feedback from them. And yeah, it's only getting better.
Do you do that at all the shows now?
As many as I can.
Yeah.
It surprises me how many of the venues have Wi-Fi here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, that's really growing, which is cool.
Yeah, it's taken right off.
Yeah. Do you ever go to a venue and try to set that up, and the club owner or whoever is working there just doesn't get it? They're like, "What are you doing? Why do you want to do that?"
No, I haven't had anybody object to it.
That's good.
I have set it up at a couple of open mic nights.
Yeah.
And when I host an open mic, sometimes a performer will get a little bit nervous that
Really?
there's a camera on them. Because some of the open mic performers are still kind of figuring their thing out, or they're not out doing it for the money. They're doing it for self-satisfaction.
Sure.
You got to respect that.
True.
So yeah, but I haven't had anybody actually object to it.
Do you monitor your web traffic?
Not actively.
Yeah.
No.
I'm just curious if you've seen an increase in hits from other parts of the country since you started doing the live streaming.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I've been doing it long enough to have been able to compile that data, but I haven't done it.
Yeah. If you do that in the future, it might be interesting just to see if you're getting hits from other places. I'd be curious to know that, because I just think it's a great idea. It's such a great concept to stream the shows.
I would love to know if I,
Yeah.
for some reason, was big in Finland or
Right,
Japan or
right.
something, and it's just there waiting for me. That would be a fun thing to discover.
And as far as the social networking, do you find too that you sell a lot of music online?
Yeah, it's been good. There was a nice little run of pre-orders for the CD that I just put out.
Yeah.
And again, Facebook was really the catalyst for that, as far as getting the word out. But you've got to be inventive with it too right now too. I'm still trying to move physical product. I'm not as big on selling MP3s or anything.
I was going to ask you if you do the downloads as well.
Yeah, I'm set up for it, but most of what I'm doing is actually still making the discs.
Sure.
Because we are in New Hampshire and we're a little behind in those things, and people still like the package. And,
well, it's fun to, you open up the CD, look at liner notes, and, there'll always be some market for that, I think.
And I'm a graphic designer, so it's irresistible to make those packages. In fact, for the pre-release, for the pre-order, I did a run of 50 CDs, and each one had its own album cover. I made 50 different covers for the album.
That's very cool.
It seemed like a great idea at the time, but it ended up.
It must have been a lot of work.
Yeah, I was in over my depth on that, but I got it done, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There's 50 people out there who have a real unique version of the album.
That's really cool.
And you got to do those things. You've got to find ways to be relevant.
Mm-hmm. I like that. You got to find ways to be relevant. That's good.
Yeah, and it's not. You don't have to be gimmicky. I don't think. You just gotta find what it is that's you.
Right.
Yeah. And you got to do those things.
Cool. Well, let's play another song. What do you want to play?
Oh, there's a track on the new album. It's actually turned up on the Planet before. It's called Just to Be Difficult.
Oh, okay.
And it was a song fight title.
I heard that the other day, and I like this song. I know the song you mean, yeah.
It's about as close to the Planet format, I guess, as my material gets, I think. So,
okay.
Yeah, let's spin that one.
What's it called again?
It's called Just to Be Difficult.
Just to Be Difficult. Okay, from Jim Tyrrell? Or Tyrrell?
Tyrrell. You're getting it. That's
I'll
all right.
I'll get it. On Local Outbreak on 100.1 The Planet, New Hampshire's Modern Rock.
You got the medicine, you don't want to take it. You just can't live with something someone was right about. You're learning to depend on all the things you hated. Can't stop it till you made it something to fight about. It makes no sense to me that you go looking for it. Should just ignore it, but you got to be difficult. Why do you choose to be so full of pain and malice, contention, uber alles, just to be difficult? You got what you want, you got your proud position, you got your fool to listen to you while you prattle about all the things you don't believe you got to live with. Well, it's another thing I think I can live without. It makes no sense to me that you go looking for it. Should just ignore it, but you've got to be difficult. Why do you choose to be so full of pain and malice, contention, uber alles, just to be difficult? Sense to me that you go looking for it. Should just ignore it, but you got to be difficult. Why do you choose to be so full of pain and malice, contention, uber alles, just to be difficult? It makes no sense to me that you go looking for it. Should just ignore it, but you got to be difficult. Why do you choose to be so full of pain and malice, contention, uber alles, just to be difficult?
Local on The Planet, 100.1 New Hampshire's Modern Rock. Matt, back with you, sitting here with Jim Tyrrell.
Tyrrell.
Excellent. I did it.
You're lucky you don't have to spell it, actually.
I know how to spell it.
Oh, yeah?
I think so. Tyrrell.
Oh, man, you got it.
I'm an excellent speller.
That's very good.
Thank you.
I'm always short an R.
Really?
You know?
Well, if you take out an R, then it becomes Tyrell.
That's true. Yeah, it would be a lot tougher to figure out the pronunciation. Or would it? I don't think it helps.
Now, let me ask you this. You seem to really have a handle on the marketing thing, you with the social networking and the streaming and all that. Do you have any advice because I talk to a lot of young bands who are clueless Do you have any advice for them about how to do this and how to promote yourself?
Well, no.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. But I don't have any formal advice because I'm really, like being a musician, I'm pretty self-taught. I'm just
Sure.
kind of finding my way through this.
Sure.
All I can really say about that is that I'm trying to do what I do, and really be as honest about it as I can. And obviously there are business things that you can do that are more productive than others, and if you want to be a musician, then you are a businessman. When it comes down to it, you don't have to necessarily behave like a businessman, like the way that you would picture it.
Sure.
But, you're in a business, so conduct your affairs thusly.
Yes.
But yeah, it's also a pretty rewarding thing to do. So I think once you start to reap the benefits of that, I think it really starts to pay off. It's something that's pretty easy to buy into.
Well said. And you have, as far as what you have coming up, you have a new album that's coming out soon, or is it?
Onward to Yesterday actually is out.
It's out, okay.
It's available on my website, and let's see. Yeah, it's actually in one store. It's in a coffee shop in Meredith.
Okay.
So, yeah, I've hit the big time.
But, of course, you can get it online at your site.
Absolutely. At jimtyrrell.net, you can get a copy.
And once again, for the spelling impaired, do you want to spell that?
Oh, that's Jim, TYRRELL.net.
Okay. What happens if you go to .com? You get some...
the domain
some porn site or something?
No, it's not that bad yet. It was owned by a realtor in California for a while.
Okay, yeah.
And then he let it lapse, and I put a bid on it, but too late. And I think there's an artist of some type in Tennessee, maybe,
Yeah.
who owns it. And I contacted him. He said, yeah, I'm going to use it eventually. So if you go to jimtyrrell.com now, it just says, welcome to jimtyrrell.com. Stay tuned for updates.
I'm going to use it eventually. That usually means if you give me $1,000, I'll give you the domain.
That's what I'm thinking. If he's banking on me making it big so that he can make some money, then I'm
Right.
taking it as a compliment.
Right?
I guess.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, it's nice to have his support.
And, of course, we can find you on MySpace. Is it just myspace.com/Jim Tyrrell?
It is, and
Okay.
facebook.com/Jim Tyrrell and twitter.com/Jim Tyrrell.
Okay. And do you have anything coming up as far as shows that you want to mention?
Well, I'm always busy. I'm playing all over the state. I've got stuff lined up at beach bars and restaurants all through the summer.
Cool.
In fact, I'm lucky enough to take significant time off from the day job in the summer and just be a musician.
Oh, that's great.
So
yeah.
I kind of get to live the dream in short bursts.
No, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Most people don't get to live the dream at all, so that's very cool.
It's true. Yeah, don't think for a minute that I'm not grateful.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay. Well, Jim Tyrrell, thank you very much for being here with us this week.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for taking the time.
Cool. And we're going to play one more track. What do you want to play?
Oh boy, I get to pick.
You get to pick.
Let's see.
That's the beauty of local Outbreak.
Oh, that's
We
fantastic.
put you in control, sort of.
I want to, if I can.
That'd look good on a T-shirt. We should have T-shirts that say "Local Outbreak." We put you in control, sort of, and no one would know what it meant but us. But to us, it would be funny.
I know some bands in the state that you would not want to put that power in their hands.
So do we. We've had bands in this room who we would not want to put that power in their hands.
I can't be trusted with it. I write drinking songs. I don't know. I don't know if you know what you're getting into.
I didn't think of that. Yeah.
If I can, I'd like to spin a song called "On My Mind"
Okay.
from the new album. Particularly proud of it. It was one of the ones that I co-wrote with Stacy, actually, and I think it came out real nice.
Okay. What's it called again? I'm sorry?
It's called "On My Mind."
On My Mind. Okay, so signing off from the RageRockRadio.com studio, this is Matt from IPMNation.com. This has been the Planet's Local Outbreak on 100.1 The Planet, New Hampshire's Modern Rock.
They say everything happens for a reason, and what will be, will be. But I won't see you till next season. heavy pendant on we'll see. My eyes wander around the space in here. Smoky haze and cheap beers and dim light. There's people laughing, people dancing. Room is full of you tonight. Beyond any shadow of a doubt, show us my time to go. There's no way to deny winds of change as they blow. But tonight, oh, you're on my mind so. Bluegrass plays out to the crowd, so I set my glass for one last brew. It's getting late, the crowd grows scarce, as the band plays to the last few. The bartender wipes the tables, sets the stools upon the bar. I think of you and I just smile at thoughts of where you are. Beyond any shadow of a doubt, show us my time to go. There's no way to deny winds of change as they blow. But tonight, oh, you're on my mind so. Don't mistake this all for sadness, 'cause I am grateful for where I am. I just can't shake this sense of wonder, what's to come and when. Beyond any shadow of a doubt, show us my time to go. No way to deny winds of change as they blow. But tonight, oh, you're on my mind so. Times they are tough. I know in this world I got more than enough. I'm satisfied. I'm glad to do this on my own. But tonight